So, Mr. Salters, I hate that you have to follow that, but once again, you are following a great presentation.
Bring you an update. We talked about Centerville Elementary School. I want to bring you some pictures there of the school under construction. And so we are making some good progress out there now. The weather will hold us up some this week, but we do have some areas under roof, and you can see those here. We are starting to see some of the brick. Y'all are going to miss the really good part when I talk about the TIF. Anyway, so we're starting to see some brick being laid around the outside of the first wing here. And, you know, we're getting close to having some steel set over the cafeteria. And we do have steel and some deck set on this wing as well. And then back here in the back where the main electrical room is. So there's another angle of that coming out of the ground. And then from the ground, this is the main entrance area. Some of the timbers that make that main canopy are in place now. This is looking down one of the hallways. The hallways look very narrow. They're not. They're the same width as our other prototypes. It's just a kind of an optical illusion there because there's no roof and other things there. This is looking down the C wing, as we call it, hallway. And then this is in the library, so it's a clear story that will be built up to. It does have a deck on it as well, and eventually we'll get some books in there, so we're excited about that. This is the stage opening in the cafeteria, and to the left would be the gymnasium area. And that's a shot of that opening there. That movable wall will be there that you can expand and use for overflow into the cafeteria. Moving on to Pillion Middle School. Pillion Middle School started a few weeks after Centerville Elementary School. It's 220,000 square feet, or 210,000 square feet. Centerville's 128,000 square feet. This facility is two-story. We have roof over the majority of the facility now, and we do have cap sheet, which is like the final roofing phase, that white roofing reflective cap sheet there over a good portion of the roof as well. We'll be setting steel over the gymnasium and theater here soon. You recall this plan was flipped a little bit with the gym being on the outside of the building versus at Beechwood, the gym is in this location. So interior shot of the cafeteria probably looks very familiar as the prototype from Beechwood. Looking down onto the stage and the serving lines there. This is the interior main entry space there, so eventually the secured foyer will be at this location here. And then we've got brick around the building. We've got our main mechanical units already set. And brick, you can see along the exterior of the classrooms, and they're ready to set windows, and we'll start that process later this week there at Centerville. And then this is looking into the cafeteria, that large glass wall entry there. And we actually have our kitchen hood set at Pillion Middle School. So that's a big step in the process. We're very excited about that progress.
Mr. Salters, I was in Pillion on Saturday for Mr. Haggart's funeral, and anytime I'm in Pillion, I drive by the site, and it's really astounding that looks like a school already. I mean, the progress on Pillion Middle is just amazing. It's got to be so exciting for that community because it's going to be a fabulous facility.
They're supposed to be a mid-year opening, but I keep joking with the contractor that they're going to be open in August, and at this rate, they probably will be. So we got our fingers crossed. They're doing a real good job out there, and it is very exciting for the community.
Now, one question that I've kind of gotten out in the community is with the use of the prototype design, are you seeing large changes that are occurring as we get 2 and 3 under our belt, or are they kind of more nuanced, just a better process, better way to do it? What are you kind of seeing there when you're working with the GCs?
Generally speaking, it's nuanced things. They'll highlight constructability issues. When an architect draws something, they don't necessarily think about always how it's constructed.
Sure.
Or there may be a better way to construct it that newer technologies come out or whatever. And so constructability sometimes comes into play, but most of the time it's moving a door here or there, or increasing the size of a closet, or reconfiguring some storage that may or may not function as well, increasing a ceiling height.
That one office, you pointed out
Yeah,
that the teachers pointed that out to you, that
Yeah,
that
we've-
office at Beechwood need to be flipped.
Yeah, we flipped an office at Beechwood in the counseling advisement area. We raised the ceiling height of the chorus and band rooms slightly, and pushed the walls out there just a little bit. Once you get in and use the space and you have the storage and materials in there, you realize that maybe that does need to be scaled a little bit bigger. So those types of things are really very minor in the overall scale of a project, but that's really what happens.
Now at Pillion, where you flipped the gym, as compared to Beechwood, was that specific to just the Pillion site?
So
And it's set up better?
So that was the original design of the building, and so at Beechwood, you may recall, we have a retaining wall right off the end of that gym area, and so it wouldn't fit the other way. And so I can kind of go back and tell you, we have, these are the locker room spaces, and that jut out wouldn't fit because the retaining wall comes in, and so we had to put that gymnasium area kind of back here, there, and this was the original layout, and of course it works here because we weren't encumbered by a retaining wall. So
So
we
it was
went
actually
back.
the opposite. It was the site at Beechwood
Was kind of, it dictated
adaptation.
the site adaptation. That's right. And then at Lexington Middle School, we plan to build this version.
And that is sited so pretty in Pillion.
Yes.
I mean, when you drive by, that is just beautiful the way it sits out there.
Yeah. So we have some other improvements going on at Pillion High School that we're also excited about. Our track, which is actually located adjacent to Pillion Middle School, has been redone. We've got the black asphalt surface on the track. We're waiting for one area of the track to dry out. It's shaded, and we're having some difficulty with all the rain getting it to dry out so we can put the final surface down. But what you're looking at here is the actual new concession building, locker room building there at the track facility. So real excited about upgrading that for the students there in Pillion.
I ran
And
into the track coach Friday night, and he said he goes by every day, and quote unquote, I have to pinch myself. I'm so excited.
yeah, they have an outstanding program there, and this is a
Coach Beebo.
yeah. So hopefully they'll run faster. That's right. So this is a small addition at the football, soccer stadium where they play those events, and this is a visitor locker room space. It'll also function as the women's soccer locker room. Pillion High School doesn't have a men's program, and so but they'll use that for the women's locker room for soccer, and then in the fall it'll be a visitor locker room for visiting teams for football. So you can see the footings have been poured there, and that's coming out of the ground. And then in the back we have the weight room and wrestling room addition, and you can see we're starting. We set door frames and window frames, and walls are coming up there. So good progress being made at that facility as well. So these improvements really, we're excited about opening these up here soon at Pillion High School. And of course, you can always track our progress on the website for all of our projects. The link's there in the presentation, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions? Okay, Dr. Little?
Sure. So, again, I apologize for some of the heavy lift tonight, but one of the things we've talked a little bit about is our relationship with the town when it comes to that land swap. And so we really felt like, you know what, Mr. Salter, we did forget one thing is for your operations update. Mr. Calhoun is here tonight. We're supposed to discuss what they presented to us?
Yes. And actually, one of the ideas that I'm glad you mentioned that. One of the ideas in our operations update that has actually come from Lexington Middle School, and we're working through that now, is the idea as we look at siting a new campus over off of Cherokee Trail and Old Cherokee Road. The folks at Lexington Middle School and Mr. Calhoun has brought to us an idea of some rebranding that they might want to consider with that campus. And so, that's something that, we talked with Dr. Little about, and I think has some interest at the school level. And so we're interested in exploring that over the next few months and seeing where that may lead us. And you may want to add more to
Yeah,
that.
so with some conversations that Mr. Calhoun and I had that he spoke to members of his school improvement team and some of the members of his community that talk about the rebranding when they move to the new middle school and what that looks like. So, for example, that may look like new school colors. We have a lot of feedback now that it's a true feeder pattern into River Bluff High School, that those parents don't like wearing their blue and gold over to River Bluff, because that's big time rivalry. So we like those rivalries and we want to respect that. At the same time, Mr. Calhoun talked about the idea that the Lexington Ale has a particular meaning. There's a brand about what that looks like, and across the state, the brand of Lexington being blue and gold is something that people know, and it's about that kind of work. So he's going to take a look at a couple of different things, and I think share with us some feedback about potentially some naming, some colors, and some instructional programming. I think is where we landed on some of those things. But so he approached that, and I'm pushing it back on him, and he's going to talk a little bit to his community, gather some feedback, see if this is more than just a couple of people, see if he can really lead that effort there in his community. So we will, over the next few months, my guess is we will have an update in that. I don't want to put him on the spot here at the moment, but we'll try to have an update on that over the next couple months, and then the board will ultimately make any decisions, especially regarding instructional programs and naming, that kind of stuff. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I'd forgotten
No,
that.
that's good.